Everyone, it's Gabby and Desiree from your IBS support group. We are the admins and we met with you last week, so thanks for tuning in if you saw us then. And today's the first of our sessions of Shooting the Shit. We're going to be talking about just different topics, all relating to IBS. We'd like to impart some of our advice. We're both naturopaths. So hi Desiree.
Hi Gabby. Nice to see you too today. And so Gabby and
You're on the other side of the world.
Sorry?
You're on the other side of the world to
I
me.
know. But yet we feel so close because the internet brings us so close together and it's so amazing. And it also brings us very close to our group members and it feels so good to be here and it feels so amazing to be able to read your comments and know that we have some solutions for you. And our goal really is, as we said last time, I'm not sure if you caught that session, but our goal is to really impart the knowledge that we've been accumulating basically over a lifetime. We're two passionate naturopaths and we're specialized in irritable bowel syndrome and we're specialized in digestion because at the end of the day, no matter what the label is with the digestive issues, the healing and the bringing the integrity back to the gastrointestinal system kind of all looks very similar, no matter what the condition or the label is that you've been given. And we want to really use our years of experience to try to help, and our clinical practice, our clinical practical experience and the cases that we've seen and the cases that we've helped and the healing that has happened and the symptoms that have gone away. We want to sort of bring that to this platform. So today we've decided to really, I'll say that we've kind of, we want to condense the information and make it really easy to understand. Because in this group we have over 21,000 members and we understand that everybody is at a different stage of their illness. People are at different stages of understanding and at different stages of implementing. Some people are really advanced and follow very strict diets and some people are just starting out and maybe have been just diagnosed. So we want to make this information really easy to understand. We want to give it to you in bite-sized pieces. And we want to make it very applicable so that you can really get off of this call and actually go right away. You know, if you have to go to the health food store or go to your kitchen and actually implement tips right away. Sounds good?
So what's today's topic, Desiree? What would you want to be talking about?
Yeah, so today we're covering 5 simple, quick, foundational tips that you can implement into your life right away to start seeing changes in your digestive system and to start seeing improvements with your gut.
That sounds amazing. Are there any recipes at the end? Should we get people to stay tuned and listen? You are so full of recipes. You're the recipe girl.
They're coming out of everywhere, these recipes. Yes, and the reason is because I'm so passionate about food. And I strongly believe that food has the potential to either bring us closer towards health or actually bring us further away from health and closer towards disease. So, you know, the gastrointestinal system is where you're literally absorbing, you know, taking in the nutrition, absorbing, breaking down, assimilating, and then building up your structures and your building blocks from this food. So just imagine if you put like a hamburger in there versus a plate of vegetables, just to give you the extremes. And a hamburger is okay once in a while if you can tolerate it. I'm not that extreme, but I'm saying if you are suffering, just think about the food that can really help to nutrify your body. So we have a beautiful recipe at the end, and I hope you stay. It's a simple recipe. It costs, barely nothing to make, and you can actually go into your fridge right now. I promise you have the 2 ingredients that you need, and you can actually make it right away in the comfort of your own home. So stay till the end for our beautiful recipe.
That sounds lovely. Can you tell me more about how the gut actually works? So you said we're starting from the basics because people have different levels of understanding, which I think is absolutely true. Some people are not aware what happens as food goes into the mouth. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Sure. So so basically you take, even with the thought of food actually, you think about food, you look at food, your enzymes start to secrete. You start having a secretion of enzymes, a secretion of, like salivation, and all of the enzymes start to sort of come out and get ready in order to break down that food. And what's so beautiful about food is that the actual food has the enzymes intact. Let's say you eat an apple. That apple has the enzymes that you need in order to break down that apple. And of course, you need that digestive fire and digestive force in order to break down that apple as well. So it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship between yourself and the food. Obviously, the food goes down into the throat, the esophagus. You chew very well at first, so chewing is very important, breaking that down into easily digestible liquid or paste, you can say. Then it's going into the esophagus. And some people even have issues right at the level of the esophagus. Some people even have issues at the level of chewing. For example, senior citizens, maybe with poor dental hygiene or poor dental care, are not chewing properly. So just imagine that the food is going in huge particles and causing problems just at the start. So some people
there's no teeth in the stomach.
Exactly.
So that chewing action is just so important.
Yeah. So we will definitely be doing other sessions where we actually go into the different organs of digestion and exactly what happens during the process of digestion. But Gabby, can you kind of tell us about how digestion might be related to other issues of health and the consequences of poor digestion on other organs, other bodily systems?
Well, we know that the gut is that whole portal to the outside world, but we're not just taking in nutrients and all that lovely food that you're saying. We could actually be taking in different types of bacteria, viruses, or parasites. And no one likes to think of having bugs in the gut, but it's a part of life. We're designed to have these things. They have this beautiful symbiotic relationship. But whatever you're actually putting into your mouth needs to be absorbed by your gut, and then it goes into the bloodstream. So when we're ingesting all this bacteria, this whole host of, we call it microbiome, we're actually creating a really strong defensive barrier against anything really that belongs, outside, anything that's not supposed to be inside of us. We've got this good barrier inside us. We've got to take care of that gut barrier. So it's a mucous membrane. It goes throughout the entire digestive tract, and it's there to protect against invading pathogens. So if the gut barrier is a little bit overpermeable, we call this a leaky gut. I mean, the term really is kind of bandied around, but a leaky gut is overpermeable. It's not a healthy gut. Right.
So you want that barrier to really be intact, and there are different ways that you can do that you can increase the strength and the you don't want there to be holes basically in the gut, because that could lead to leaky gut syndrome. Processed food causes most of this. Someone just made a comment. I'm unable, because this is a private group, I'm unable to see the faces and the names of who comment. And that would be so beautiful, but it's just not possible. So we can't call on you and say, thank you, Cynthia, for offering this comment, but we can actually acknowledge the comments. They're coming up on the second screen, and that is absolutely true. Processed food is a huge part of the problem, as well as other different problems that contribute to digestive stress. But as Gabby is saying, intestinal permeability is very important. Also having the right profile of microbes and having enough microbes, all of that healthy gut flora. So if we actually dive in, we really want to give you those 5 easy to digest steps that you can implement right away. So the first thing you want to do in relation to that processed food is ditch the problem causers. Let's just go to the foundation. My clients, it's so funny. Sometimes I think that people know so much, but actually we're all starting from the foundation. Even I forget to drink water. We all forget to stay hydrated enough. And just that one piece of advice can make such a difference. It's so valuable. So I carry my daughter's thermos around. How cute is this thermos? And I remind myself to drink water. So actually at the end of the day, no matter what level we're at, I've had years of naturopathic experience, and sometimes I forget to drink water. So we're going to start sometimes with the basics, which is ditching the problem causers. So some foods, there's the whole debate about the FODMAPs diet and what diet you should follow if you have gastrointestinal problems. There was a comment this morning, should I eat garlic and onions? That really aggravates my system. We're not going to get into the nitty-gritty here. What we're going to say is that there are clearly some foods which are not going to take us on the path of health and wellness. Can we agree to that? So, as she said, processed foods, anything that is sort of man-made in a can, in a box, in a jar, usually must contain many different chemical preservatives in order to keep it on the shelf at the grocery store. Our body has a very hard time recognizing this stuff as food. It's not close to nature. It's not bioavailable. We're going to have a hard time with it. So if you're suffering from digestive problems, the first place you should start is cleaning out your kitchen. Go into your cupboards, go into your fridge, take out anything that is not going to bring you in the direction of health and is going to aggravate your digestive symptoms. Many people, we can generally say, have a reaction to modern day gluten. I'm talking about white bread. I'm talking about genetically modified grains, especially wheat, that contain a high quantity of this protein called gluten. Many people remove it and have great results. Weight loss, less brain fog, less fatigue, better digestion. I mean, amazing results. The other one we could talk about is conventional dairy. Many people have issues with conventionally raised dairy products. In Canada, we don't have hormones and antibiotics. In the States, I think that hormones and antibiotics are involved in the dairy industry. So just think of ditching the problem causers. That's a really great place to start, and that in itself can take a bit of time to start getting used to ditching them, because when you ditch them, you have to replace them.
I love that, because it's, it sounds like simple advice, but as you just said before, an apple, for example, has everything you need in it to actually digest it in the first place. As soon as we change that form, in fact, as soon as we heat something in a microwave, for example, or as soon as we're maybe roasting, boiling, steaming, there's different methods of preparing food, but it does alter the way the body accepts it, and it starts to destroy some of the enzymes. So if you're not eating live food that's nutrient rich, and you're eating some of these problem causers, as you pointed out, things that have been heavily processed, the body can't recognize it. When you're putting that food into the mouth for it to recognize and produce all these different enzymes, that doesn't happen to the same extent. So instead, you're going to get an inflammatory reaction.
Yes.
So what's number 2 on your list? We've got ditch the problem causers. What's number 2?
Number 2 is, so if you want to ditch the problem causers, you're literally taking away a lot of the options of what you have to eat. I mean, let's just get down to business and talk about reality. Like, I'm a busy mom of 2. Gabby's a busy mom of 2. Sometimes we have to compromise and maybe pick up some food or whatever. But if we are ditching the problem causers, we're going to have to replace those with something. And you need to know what does your body good. So very plainly, you want to include lots of sprouts, nutrient-rich foods, foods as they come from nature, lots of vegetables, lots of fruits. I understand that some people have issues with fruits and the fermenting sugars. Some people have issues with that. Some people have issues with raw fruits and vegetables. Some people with digestive issues have issue with cold smoothies. So there are ways to warm these foods up. Cooking, of course, helps it. Adding warm spices in order to increase digestibility is also another option. But in general, you want to stick to foods that are as close to nature, whole foods, as much as possible. Just common sense.
So are there any particular fruits and veggies you'd recommend in the case of IBS that should be avoided?
As we said last time, this is such a tough question, and people get so dogmatic and stick to their guns about this. But the reality is that some people do well with cruciferous vegetables, kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and some people really can't tolerate it. Some people do well with lentils, some people can't handle lentils. Some people do well with lots of meat, and some people don't. I mean, there's no one answer for everyone, although there are certain guidelines that everyone with digestive issues should follow, and they're going to do well with those recommendations. I know that sounds contradictory, but there are a set number of guidelines that everyone would do better with. And then if you want to get into the small details, people react differently. In general, whole foods as they come from nature.
So good advice then would be to listen to your body, consume those nutrient-dense foods and see what works for you.
Yes.
That's what I love about this actually, is I do find that people start this whole journey of discovery. You know, sometimes people end up saying that, and this sounds strange when I know that people are suffering, but sometimes people say, honestly, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I think what they mean by that is that they've been able to take stock of what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and really start listening to their body and start discovering themselves again. You know what it's like. You get busy, you get sidetracked, you stop listening to the body whispers.
Yes.
And I think what your body's trying to tell you is just so important.
Yes.
So, yeah, consume those nutrient-dense foods and see which ones are actually working for you.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what's number 3?
So number 3 is all about populating with the right bacteria. So in your gut resides millions and billions of bacteria. Basically, when you poop, most of that poop is bacteria. You want to make sure that you have a nice symbiotic relationship, not a situation of dysbiosis. So dysbiosis is when sort of the bad guys take over the good guys. You can think of it as a war situation with little soldiers. So you want to make sure that you crowd out the bad guys as much as possible. And that means that you're crowding out parasites, negative bacteria, candida, overgrowth, any of the sort of harmful bacteria that are going to essentially affect all other aspects of your health. Because if there's too much bad bacteria in there, you know this if you suffer from candida, it's hard to focus, you've got brain fog, you've got itchy toes, lots of different symptoms. You can't tolerate sugar, you feel lethargic all the time. So it's amazing how much the gut bacteria just impacts overall systemic health. So the way that you do this is that you introduce foods that are rich in good bacteria and a nice variety of bacteria. Gabby, do you have any suggestions for which foods?
There's loads of different types. I mean, we love our fermented foods, so we do different types of fermented veggies. So you can do fermented cabbage, which is sauerkraut. You can do a type of green tea that's fermented called kombucha.
Oh, yes, yeah.
There's a fermented milk or coconut water that's made from kefir grains. There's like a Japanese dish with some spices in there called kimchi. So these are all different types of things that you can look at, or we do have a recipe at the end, funnily enough.
Yeah.
And just introducing really small amounts initially, because as Desiree said, you know, you actually got to crowd out some of that bad bacteria, and they're not going to like that. So they will produce a little bit of gas at first. So we start slowly with the fermented foods, and we start to increase that the amount, so that actually we're starting to create this whole new life, this whole new microbiome inside that's full of the good guys. And that's what strengthens your digestion, your immunity, and you know, it's linked with mood as well. So people that are feeling quite anxious or low mood, often it's the beneficial bacteria that just need that little bit of support.
Beautiful.
So they're great tips for, we've said so far about ditching those problem causers.
Yes.
That's simple, easy to do. We can do that tomorrow. Consuming more nutrient-dense foods. That's about wise choices that you're making. What's going to make you feel good? And we've just said about populating with all the right bacteria to create the right internal environment. So what's your tip number 4, Desiree?
Sure. So tip number 4 is really about ingesting enough sufficient fiber. And if you're someone who follows the paleo diet or the ketogenic diet, chances are if you don't do it properly, which I've seen too many times, it's actually it's a very acidic environment. It's going to bring your body into a more acidic state. And muscle meat doesn't really have fiber in it. So you need to make sure that you're offsetting that with plenty of fiber-rich vegetables. Fiber is so important because it's usually the cellulose that is housed in a plant, and our body is not able to actually break down that cellulose Okay, we're not able to actually digest that fiber, and so it ends up acting like a broom. I always like to use the example of a broom. If you think of a piece of celery that's so fibrous, it's just going to help to sweep out your GI tract and clean out any toxins, anything that's, you know, sticking to the GI tract that needs to get out of there. Adhesion. I'm thinking of adhesion. Adhering. Thank you. So all of that fiber that comes essentially from eating plenty of nutrient-dense fruits and vegetables is very important. Also, the beneficial bacteria in your colon, it mostly resides in the large intestine, is going to need some food, and they like to eat fiber. So make sure you have enough fiber.
So I think it requires another discussion maybe on another time about the different types of fiber and about transient fibers and fibers that feed the beneficial bacteria and maybe even those that help to kill it off. So maybe we'll have that in an upcoming talk. So that's great. So what about, I know things like stress can have such a big impact. So are there any kind of lifestyle tips that you have for your fifth tip?
Yes, I mean, I think we all fall prey to this modern lifestyle where we're all running around and, you know, stressed, and we have so much to deal with, especially, you know, parents out there and people that are dealing with digestive disturbances. Also, it's very stressful. We read your comments, guys. It's painful. It's painful to read about what so many people are going through. Just as simple as you know, if you have chronic IBS, just as simple as managing your day, you know, at work, the embarrassing bathroom runs, constantly running to the toilet, not being able to spend time with family and friends, not being able to be with your kids and do activities, like it's really painful. So actually managing stress and lifestyle factors is probably number one. It's probably much more important than food and diet, in my opinion. When you go into a stress response, you're really taxing your digestive system. All of the energy that normally sustains your metabolic function and your bodily functions actually goes towards managing the stress situation, and sort of your body goes into an emergency state. So really tips that you can implement are going to bed by 10 p.m., really getting that nourishing restorative sleep. Managing your stress, this might mean taking some time to meditate every day, do some deep breathing, nourishing and taking care of yourself, getting on your yoga mat if you can't make it to a yoga class, at least stretching for 20 minutes a day, listening to a guided meditation, you know, with your headphones, just little tricks that you can just implement. You know, before you pick up your kids, maybe sit in your car for 10 minutes and do some deep breathing. Your neighbor next door might think you're crazy, but who cares? So all these little things that we can just really fit into our life to really put us in a happy state and a state of wellness and calm.
I do think fresh air as well is really important. You know, there's many IBS sufferers on our group who spend a lot of time indoors. They literally can't get off the toilet. But it's those times in between that the fresh air is just really important. Sunlight, fresh air, and movement. Yes. Especially as, this is another discussion, but the whole gastrointestinal tract is very much controlled by the nervous system, and our correct posture and deep breathing. Yeah. So as you're saying about the meditation and deep breathing, that downward pressure of the diaphragm, and that ability of the nervous system to chill is going to have a huge impact on how the bowel's responding. Yes. And it's so easy to say we need to relax more, but what you've just said are actual doable things. Other things that I'd say would be turning off the notifications on your phone. Because I personally find that if my phone goes, because I've now switched them off, it's almost like a mini stress response every single time, and you know that just doesn't do your gut any good. So just actionable things like that will make a difference.
Absolutely. Just simple things, you know. We have 24 hours in a day. What's 10 minutes to get on a yoga mat and stretch? What's 10 minutes of deep breathing? And I'll never forget when I was in naturopathic college, one of the teachers, some things you just retain in your memory. And what she said was like, first thing in the morning, wake up and go open your front door and take 10 deep breaths. Just, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Just take 10, no matter what the weather is, just take 10 deep breaths of fresh air. And actually next Wednesday in the group, we have a beautiful post coming up about, we give you a challenge every single Wednesday. This is a new thing that we're doing. We're trying it out in the group. And we want to really challenge you to implement these healthy habits into your life. And they're given to you in bite-sized pieces. You're given the reason why you should do them. You're educated on, the benefits of this. And we really hope that you implement this. And like we said, we're going to be more active in the group. The group dynamic is going to be changing now for a while. Everything was quiet from the administration. But now we really want to help because we see a lot of problems and questions and crises almost. We want to step in and help as much as we can with the knowledge that we have. So we'll be having Wednesday challenges. We're going to be going live like this every Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m. And then we've got some other surprises and goodies down the road coming up. So just to let you guys know what you can kind of expect in the group. And of course, business as usual, people asking questions, members supporting each other, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, we really appreciate the support that everybody gives each other. It's really nice to see. People will always seem to take the time to comment and help other people. So thank you for that. We're really grateful.
Yes.
So what's your lovely recipe, Desiree?
Oh, so the lovely recipe is basically all you need. Let me just go down to it. We're going to be also, by the way, we're just working on the technical side, but we're going to be posting our beautiful blog post, our informative blog post, and our recipes on our blog. So we're going to be directing you with links to go and pick up your free recipe and to go and check out the informative blog post. But for now...
You don't need to remember all this right now. You're about to read out a recipe, you don't need to remember it all.
Yes, true. So really, this is a recipe for a fermented vegetable. Everybody's got carrots, I'm assuming, garlic, and some salt in their fridge. So with lacto-fermented vegetables, what you really want is just kind of some salt and the vegetable. When it comes to cabbage, sauerkraut, you just need salt and the vegetable, salt and cabbage. Here we've added a recipe with warm water, salt, carrots, and some garlic. You basically want to make a brine by dissolving the salt in the water. Place your carrots into a clean canning jar. Some people boil the jar in order to make sure there are no bacteria in there, and you can hermetically seal the jar as well. And basically all you want to do is basically in this brine, which is the salt water, pack your carrots in there, leave some space on the top, and put the lid on. That's it. Then you want to ferment it for 1 to 4 days. The more it sits, the more flavor you'll have, the more flavor will develop. So you can basically do this with any vegetable, and what starts to happen is that all these beautiful strains of bacteria start to grow, and then all of that beneficial bacteria actually, I don't know if we're live anymore. I don't see the live symbol. Oh, yes, we are. All the beneficial bacteria are going to nourish your gut bacteria.
That sounds so simple to do, and it's something that you can just add to at least one of the meals a day. And like you say, it's got all the bacteria, but it's also got the live enzymes, so it helps your body to digest the meal that you're placing that with.
Yes.
So your top tips have been great. These are all 5 ways to improve your natural gut health. I think what you've said so far is that you're going to ditch the problem causers. You're going to consume more nutrient-dense foods. You're going to populate the gut with the right bacteria, especially from that lovely recipe you've just read. Ingest the right sorts of fibre and in sufficient amounts. And really to try to get your lifestyle in order to calm stress levels. I love the fact that that's just so easy to do. It's so actionable. People can start tomorrow, start tonight. It's evening here in the UK.
Yeah.
Dipping out the cupboards and thinking about how they can implement some of these things. So Desiree, out of those, what's going to be the first thing that you're going to implement?
Myself? I
Yeah.
need to actually make my own fermented vegetables more. So I think I'm actually going to make fermented carrots. I have a beautiful, huge jar of fermented cabbage, of sauerkraut, organic sauerkraut in my fridge. And I have just been digging into that jar. It's amazing. And I almost use it as a condiment. So I kind of put it on the side, like as a little side dish on the table, and whoever wants can dig into that. But I think I'm going to start making my own fermented vegetables because it's so simple. How about you, Gabby?
I think now I switched off all the notifications on my phone.
Uh-huh.
But what I have noticed is that I've started picking up one of my devices at night and starting to scan through Facebook like you do. But actually, I find that it doesn't relax me whatsoever. So I think my thing that I'm going to implement is that needs to go away. My book needs to come out, or I'll get my meditation CD on, and I think I'm just going to calm before bed. Bed at 10 o'clock, deep breathing, and listen to meditation.
Sounds delicious.
That does sound wonderful, doesn't it?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Amazing.
Well, thank you so much, Desiree, for your time. If anyone would like to comment on what they're going to be implementing out of those top tips, then please do. You can either post right now or you can post on the site. It'd be great to get some feedback. We'd love that, thank you. This is our time that we are happy to share with you. We would like to impart our knowledge that we've literally gathered over between us probably about 30 years. And we'll keep doing this every week for as long as you want us to. So please try and join in on the Wednesday challenges, and we'll see you Thursday for the Facebook Lives.
Thank you so much, Gabby. Take care, everyone, and so nice to chat with everyone. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
All right, we're going to finish off and end the broadcast.